Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, and today we're going to talk about something that almost every English learner dreams about: speaking fluent English. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever spent months or even years studying English, memorizing vocabulary, learning grammar rules, and watching countless English videos, but still felt nervous when it was time to actually speak? If your answer is yes, then you are definitely not alone.
That's right, Jason. Many learners believe that fluency is something magical that only a few people can achieve. But the truth is that fluency is a skill that anyone can develop with the right habits and the right mindset. And in 2026, learning English has become easier than ever before because there are so many tools, resources, and opportunities available to help you practice every day.
Exactly. So in today's episode, we're going to share practical and powerful strategies that can help you speak English more naturally, more confidently, and more fluently in 2026. So stay with us until the end, because this episode could completely change the way you learn and practice English.
Let's get started.
Before we talk about how to become fluent in English in 2026, let's first answer a very important question. What does fluent English actually mean? Because many learners have the wrong idea about fluency. They think fluency means speaking like a native speaker, knowing every word in the dictionary, or never making grammar mistakes. But that's simply not true.
I completely agree, Jason. In fact, one of the biggest reasons learners feel frustrated is because they set an impossible standard for themselves. They believe they must speak perfect English before they can call themselves fluent. So every time they make a mistake, they feel like they are failing. But even native English speakers make mistakes sometimes. Nobody speaks perfectly all the time.
Exactly. Fluency is not perfection. Fluency is the ability to express your thoughts, ideas, feelings, and opinions smoothly and confidently without constantly stopping to think about every single word. A fluent speaker may still make small grammar mistakes, forget a word occasionally, or pronounce something incorrectly. But they can continue the conversation naturally and communicate their message clearly.
That's a great point. Imagine two English learners. The first learner knows thousands of vocabulary words and many grammar rules, but becomes nervous and silent when someone asks a simple question. The second learner knows fewer words but can confidently share opinions, ask questions, and keep a conversation going. Which learner sounds more fluent? Most people would choose the second learner because communication is the real goal of language.
Absolutely. Language is a tool for communication, not a school exam. If you can understand others, respond naturally, and keep a conversation moving, you are already developing fluency. The goal is not to become perfect. The goal is to become comfortable using English in real-life situations.
And here's something important for everyone listening today. Fluency is not something that suddenly appears one morning. It's a skill that grows little by little every day. Every conversation, every podcast you listen to, every sentence you speak, and every mistake you learn from brings you one step closer to becoming a fluent English speaker.
That's exactly the mindset we want you to have throughout this episode. Stop chasing perfection and start focusing on communication. Once you make that shift, learning English becomes more enjoyable, less stressful, and much more effective. Now let's move on to our first and perhaps most important secret for speaking fluent English in 2026. This secret may sound surprising, but here it is. Stop studying English all the time and start using English. Of course, learning grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation is important, but many learners spend years studying English without actually using it in real life. They watch lessons, read textbooks, and memorize word lists every day, yet they rarely speak, write, or think in English. As a result, they gain knowledge about English, but they do not develop the ability to use English naturally.
That's such an important point, Jason. Learning a language is very different from learning subjects like history or mathematics. You cannot become a fluent speaker simply by collecting information. Think about it this way. Reading books about swimming does not teach you how to swim. At some point, you must get into the water and practice. English works the same way. You have to use the language if you want your brain to become comfortable with it.
Exactly. Many learners fall into what I call the study trap. They keep telling themselves, I need to learn more vocabulary first, or I need to master grammar before I start speaking. But the truth is that there will always be more words to learn and more grammar rules to study. If you keep waiting until you feel completely ready, you may never start speaking confidently.
And here's the interesting thing. Fluency grows through usage, not through preparation alone. The more you use English, the faster your brain learns how to connect words, create sentences, and respond automatically. That's why some people who know less grammar can sometimes speak more fluently than people who have studied English for many years. They have trained themselves to use the language instead of just learning about it.
So how can our listeners start using English more often? The answer is simple. Turn everyday activities into English practice. For example, when you're walking outside, describe what you see in English. When you're cooking, explain the steps in English. When you're planning your day, do it in English. You don't need a classroom, a teacher, or a speaking partner every time. You simply need the habit of using English regularly.
That's right. Another great idea is to talk to yourself in English for a few minutes every day. Some learners think this sounds strange, but it is actually one of the most powerful speaking exercises. You can talk about your goals, your work, your studies, or even what happened during your day. The goal is not perfection. The goal is to train your brain to think and communicate in English more naturally.
Remember, everyone, English is not a subject that you need to study forever. It is a tool that you should use every day. The moment you stop treating English as just a lesson and start treating it as part of your daily life, your fluency will begin to improve much faster.
Exactly. So our first challenge for you is simple. Don't just learn English today, use English today. Even 5 or 10 minutes of real English usage can be more valuable than hours of passive studying. The more you use the language, the more fluent you will become.
Now, let's move on to secret number 2. Create an English environment around you. One of the biggest challenges for many English learners is that they only use English during study time. They might spend 30 minutes watching an English lesson and then spend the rest of the day surrounded by their native language. As a result, their brain receives very little English input, and progress becomes slow. If you want to speak fluent English in 2026, you need to make English a regular part of your daily life.
That's absolutely true, Jason. When children learn their first language, they don't study grammar books all day. They learn because they are constantly surrounded by the language. They hear it at home, at school, and in everyday conversations. While adult learners cannot completely recreate that experience, They can build a personal English environment that gives their brain continuous exposure to the language.
Exactly. The good news is that in 2026, creating an English environment is easier than ever before. We have access to podcasts, YouTube videos, audiobooks, social media content, online communities, and language learning apps. Instead of using these tools only occasionally, try making them a daily habit. The more English you hear and see, the more familiar it becomes.
For example, you can start your morning by listening to an English podcast while getting ready for the day. During lunch, you can watch a short English video. In the evening, you can read a simple English article, story, or social media post. These small activities may seem simple, but when repeated every day, they have a powerful effect on your fluency.
Another great strategy is to change some of your daily devices into English. You can switch your phone settings, computer settings, or favorite apps to English. This forces you to interact with common English words and phrases throughout the day. At first, it may feel uncomfortable, but after a few weeks, many expressions will become familiar and automatic.
And don't forget the importance of listening. Many learners focus heavily on grammar and vocabulary, but they don't spend enough time listening to real English. Listening trains your ears to recognize pronunciation, sentence patterns, and natural expressions. The more English you hear, the easier it becomes to understand and eventually speak like a confident communicator.
That's a great point. Think of your brain like a garden. If you surround yourself with English every day, you are planting seeds continuously. Over time, those seeds grow into vocabulary, confidence, better pronunciation, and stronger speaking skills. But if English only appears once or twice a week, those seeds don't get enough water to grow.
Exactly. So here's today's challenge for our listeners. Find at least 3 ways to bring more English into your daily routine. Maybe it's listening to a podcast, reading an article, watching a video, or changing your phone language to English. Small changes done consistently can create amazing results over time.
Remember, fluency is not built only during study sessions. It's built through daily exposure. The more English becomes part of your everyday environment, the more naturally your brain will begin to understand, process, and speak it. Now it's time for secret number 3, and this is a lesson that can completely change your English learning journey. Speak every day without waiting for confidence. Many learners believe that one day they will suddenly feel confident, and then they will start speaking English. But confidence doesn't work that way. Confidence is not something you wait for. It's something you build through action. The more you speak, the more confident you become.
That's such an important message, Jason. I often hear learners say things like, "I'm too shy to speak English," or "I'll start speaking when my grammar gets better." But the problem is that if you keep waiting for the perfect moment, that moment may never come. Confidence grows from experience. Every time you speak English, even if it's just a few sentences, you teach your brain that speaking English is normal and possible.
Exactly. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. In the beginning, you may feel nervous and afraid of falling. But after practicing again and again, you become more comfortable and confident. Speaking English follows the same pattern. Your first conversations may feel difficult, your words may come out slowly, and you may make mistakes. But that's all part of the learning process.
And here's something our listeners should remember. Making mistakes is not a sign of failure. It's actually a sign that you are learning. Every fluent English speaker you admire today made countless mistakes while learning. The difference is that they didn't let those mistakes stop them. They kept speaking, kept improving, and kept moving forward.
So if you want to become fluent in English in 2026, make speaking a daily habit. Speak for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or even just a few minutes every day. Talk about your day, describe your plans, share your opinions, or summarize something you watched or read. The topic doesn't matter as much as the habit itself.
That's right. Don't wait until you feel confident enough to speak. Speak first, and confidence will follow. Every sentence you speak is a step toward fluency, and every day you practice brings you closer to becoming the English speaker you want to be.
Remember, everyone, fluency is built one conversation at a time, and confidence is built one sentence at a time. Start speaking today, and let your confidence grow naturally through practice. Now, let's talk about secret number 4, a technique that can help you sound more natural and fluent much faster. Learn phrases instead of single words. Many English learners spend hours memorizing individual vocabulary words. They learn one word today, another word tomorrow, and another word the next day. While vocabulary is important, learning words by themselves is often not enough to help you speak fluently in real conversations.
That's exactly right, Jason. Native speakers usually don't create every sentence word by word in their minds. Instead, they use groups of words or phrases that they have heard and used many times before. These phrases come automatically because they are stored together in the brain. That's why native speakers can speak smoothly and quickly without stopping to think about every single word.
For example, instead of learning only the word opinion, learn the phrase in my opinion. Instead of learning only the word agree, learn the phrase I completely agree with you. Instead of memorizing the word think, learn the expression I think that's a great idea. When you learn phrases, you learn how words naturally work together.
Another benefit is that phrases help you sound more natural. Imagine someone asks you a question. If you already know useful expressions like, "That's a good question, let me think for a moment," "As far as I know," or "It depends on the situation," you can respond more smoothly and confidently. These ready-made expressions give your brain extra time to organize the rest of your answer.
Exactly. This is one reason why some learners can speak quite fluently even with a limited vocabulary. They have learned useful chunks of language that they can use in many different situations. Instead of building every sentence from the ground up, they already have building blocks ready to use.
So here's a practical tip for our listeners. Whenever you learn a new word, don't stop there. Write down the complete phrase or sentence where you found that word. Practice saying the entire expression out loud several times. This will help you remember it better and use it naturally in future conversations.
Remember, fluency is not about knowing the most words. It's about being able to use the right words quickly and naturally. And one of the best ways to do that is by learning useful phrases and expressions that native speakers use every day.
So from today, focus less on collecting thousands of isolated vocabulary words and focus more on learning real-life phrases. Your conversations will become smoother, more natural, and much more fluent.
Before we finish today's episode, we want to give you a simple daily fluency challenge that you can start today. The best part is that it doesn't require expensive courses, special equipment, or hours of free time. All you need is consistency. Spend just 30 to 35 minutes each day focusing on English. Listen to English for 10 minutes through a podcast, video, or audiobook. Then spend 10 minutes speaking English out loud, even if you're speaking to yourself. After that, read something in English for 10 minutes, such as a short article, story, or social media post. Finally, spend 5 minutes reviewing useful phrases that you learned during the day.
That's a powerful routine because it trains all the major language skills together. You're listening to real English, speaking actively, reading for understanding, and reviewing useful expressions. If you follow this simple challenge every day for the next few months, you'll be surprised by how much more comfortable and fluent you become. Remember, fluency isn't built in one day. It's built through small daily actions repeated consistently. So challenge yourself to complete this routine every day and watch your English improve step by step.
As we come to the end of today's episode, let's quickly review the 4 secrets that can help you speak fluent English in 2026. First, stop spending all your time studying English and start using English in your daily life. Second, create an English environment around you so that your brain is exposed to the language every day. Third, speak English regularly without waiting for confidence, because confidence grows through practice. And fourth, learn useful phrases instead of single words, so you can communicate more naturally and smoothly.
That's right, Jason. And if there's one message we want every listener to remember today, it's this. Fluency is not a destination that only a few talented people can reach. It is a skill that anyone can build through consistent effort and daily practice. Don't compare your progress to someone else's journey. Focus on becoming a little better than you were yesterday. Every new phrase you learn, every podcast you listen to, and every sentence you speak is moving you closer to your goal.
Exactly. Don't be afraid of mistakes. Don't wait for the perfect moment, and don't give up when progress feels slow. Keep showing up every day, keep practicing, and keep believing in yourself. A year from now, you'll be thankful that you started today.
Your English-speaking future is created by the actions you take right now. So stay motivated, stay consistent, and remember that every fluent English speaker started as a beginner. If they can do it, you can do it too.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode of the English Learning Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our discussion on how to speak fluent English in 2026, and that you learned some practical strategies that you can start using right away. Remember, fluency is not about being perfect. It's about communicating confidently, consistently, and naturally.
Absolutely. We encourage you to take action today. Choose at least one tip from this episode and put it into practice. Small daily improvements can lead to amazing results over time. The most important thing is to keep going, even when progress feels slow.
If you found this episode helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our podcast with your friends and fellow English learners. Your support helps us create more content to help you improve your English skills.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. Keep learning, keep practicing, and most importantly, keep speaking English every day.
Take care, stay motivated, and we'll see you in the next episode.